816 A brief history of modern India. 2. Governors-General and Viceroys of India. Significant events in their rule. Governors-General. 1. Warren Hastings 1773–1785 I. Regulating Act of 1773. E. Act of 1781, under which the powers of jurisdiction between the Governor-General in Council and the Supreme Court at Calcutta were clearly divided. E. Pitt's India Act of 1784. IV. The Rohilla War of 1774. V. The First Maratha War in 1775–82 and the Treaty of Salbai in 1782. V. Second Mysore War in 1780–84. V. Strained relationships with Chet Singh, the Maharaja of Benares, which led to Hastings' subsequent impeachment in England. V. Foundation of the Asiatic Society of Bengal 1784. 2. Lord Cornwallis 1786–1793 I. Third Mysore War 1790–92 and Treaty of Seringapatam 1792 E. Cornwallis Code 1793 incorporating several judicial reforms and separation of revenue administration and civil jurisdiction. E. Permanent Settlement of Bengal 1793. IV. Europeanization of administrative machinery and introduction of civil services. 3. Sir John Shore 1793–1798 I. Charter Act of 1793. E. Battle of Kharda between the Nizam and the Marathas 1795. 4. Lord Wellesley 1798–1805 I. Introduction of the Subsidiary Alliance System 1798 First alliance with Nizam of Hyderabad. E. Fourth Mysore War 1799 E. Second Maratha War 1803–05. Appendices 817 IV took over the administration of Tanjore 1799, Surat 1800, and Carnatic 1801 v. Treaty of Bassein 1802. 5. Sir George Barlow 1805–1807 Vellore Mutiny 1806. 6. Lord Minto I 1807–1813 Treaty of Amritsar with Ranjit Singh 1809. 7. Lord Hastings 1813–1823 I. Anglo-Nepal War 1814–16 and the Treaty of Sagali 1816. E. Third Maratha War 1817–19 and dissolution of Maratha Confederacy, creation of Bombay Presidency 1818 E. Strife with Pindaris 1817–1818 IV. Treaty with Scindia 1817 v. Establishment of Ryotwari system by Thomas Monro, Governor of Madras 1820. 8. Lord Amherst 1823–1828 I. First Burmese War 1824–1826 E. Capture of Bharatpur 1826. 9. Lord William Bentinck 1828–1835 I. Abolition of Sati and other cruel rights 1829 E. Suppression of Thugi 1830 E. Charter Act of 1833. IV. Resolution of 1835, and educational reforms and introduction of English as the official language. V. Annexation of Mysore 1831 Coorg 1834 and Central Cachar 1834 V. Treaty of Perpetual Friendship with Ranjit Singh. V. Abolition of the Provincial Courts of Appeal and Circuit set up by Cornwallis, appointment of Commissioners of Revenue and Circuit. 10. Lord Metcalfe 1835–1836 New Press Law removing restrictions on the press in India. 11. Lord Auckland 1836–1842 I. First Afghan War 1838–42 E. Death of Ranjit Singh 1839. 818 A brief history of modern India. 12. Lord Ellenborough 1842–1844 I. Annexation of Sindh 1843 E. War with Gwalior 1843. 13. Lord Hardinge 1844–1848 I. First Anglo-Sikh War 1845–46 and the Treaty of Lahore 1846 E. Social reforms including abolition of female infanticide and human sacrifice. 14. Lord Dalhousie 1848–1856 I. Second Anglo-Sikh War 1848–49 and annexation of Punjab 1849 E. Annexation of Lower Burma or Pegu 1852 E. Introduction of the doctrine of lapse and annexation of Satara 1848 Jodhpur and Sambalpur 1849 Udaipur 1852 Jhansi 1853 Nagpur 1854 and Awadh 1856 IV. Woods Charles Wood, President of the Board of Control Educational Dispatch, of 1854 and opening of Anglo-vernacular schools and government colleges. V. Railway Minute of 1853, and laying down of first railway line connecting Bombay and Thane in 1853. V. Telegraph 4,000 miles of telegraph lines to connect Calcutta with Bombay, Madras and Peshawar and Postal Post Office Act, 1854 reforms. V. Ganges Canal declared open 1854 establishment of separate public works department in every province. V. Widow Remarriage Act 1856. 15. Lord Canning 1856–1857, I. Establishment of 3 universities at Calcutta, Madras and Bombay in 1857. E. Revolt of 1857. Viceroys 1. Lord Canning 1858–1862, I. Transfer of control from East India Company to the Crown, the Government of India Act, 1858. E. White Mutiny, by European troops in 1859. E. Indian Councils Act of 1861. 2. Lord Elgin I 1862–1863 Wahhabi Movement. Appendices 819-3. Lord John Lawrence 1864–1869, I. Bhutan War 1865, E. Setting up of the High Courts at Calcutta, Bombay and Madras 1865. 4. Lord Mayo 1869–1872, I. Opening of the Raikot College in Kathiawar and the Mayo College at Ajmer for political training of Indian princes. E. Establishment of Statistical Survey of India. E. Establishment of Department of Agriculture and Commerce. IV. Introduction of State Railways. 5. Lord Northbrook 1872–1876, I. Visit of Prince of Wales in 1875. E. Trial of Gaekwar of Baroda. E. Kuka Movement in Punjab. 6. Lord Lytton 1876–1880, I. Famine of 1876–78 affecting Madras, Bombay, Mysore, Hyderabad, parts of central India and Punjab. Appointment of Famine Commission under the presidency of Richard Strachey 1878. E. Royal Titles Act 1876, Queen Victoria assuming the title of Kaiser-i-Hind, or Queen Empress of India. E. The Vernacular Press Act 1878. IV. The Arms Act 1878. V. The Second Afghan War 1878–80. 7. Lord Ripon 1880–1884, I. Repeal of the Vernacular Press Act 1882. E. The First Factory Act 1881, to improve labor conditions. E. Continuation of financial decentralization. IV. Government Resolution on Local Self-Government 1882. V. Appointment of Education Commission under chairmanship of Sir William Hunter 1882. V. The Ilbert Bill Controversy 1883–84. V. Rendition of Mysore. 8. Lord Dufferin 1884–1888, I. The Third Burmese War 1885–86. E. Establishment of the Indian National Congress. 820. A Brief History of Modern India. 9. Lord Lansdowne 1888–1894, I. Factory Act 1891. E. Categorization of civil services into imperial, provisional and subordinate. E. Indian Councils Act 1892. IV. Setting up of Durand Commission 1893, to define the Durand Line between India and Afghanistan, now between Pakistan and Afghanistan. A small portion of the line touches India in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. 10. Lord Elgin II 1894–1899, 2 British officials assassinated by Chapakar brothers 1897. 11. Lord Curzon 1899–1905, I. Appointment of Police Commission 1902 under Sir Andrew Fraser to review police administration. E. Appointment of Universities Commission 1902 and passing of Indian Universities Act 1904. E. Establishment of Department of Commerce and Industry. IV. Calcutta Corporation Act 1899. V. Ancient Monuments Preservation Act 1904. V. Partition of Bengal 1905. V. Curzon-Kitchener Controversy. V. Young Husband's Mission to Tibet 1904. 12. Lord Minto II 1905–1910, I. Popularization of anti-partition and Swadeshi movements. E. Split in Congress in the annual session of 1907 in Surat. E. Establishment of Muslim League by Aga Khan 1906. 13. Lord Hardinge II 1910–1916, I. Creation of Bengal Presidency, like Bombay and Madras, in 1911. E. Transfer of capital from Calcutta to Delhi 1911. E. Establishment of the Hindu Mahasabha 1915 by Madan Mohan Malviya. IV. Coronation Durbar of King George V held in Delhi 1911. 14. Lord Chelmsford 1916–1921, I. Formation of Home Rule Leagues by Annie Besant and Tilak 1916. Appendices 821. E. Lucknow Session of the Congress 1916. E. Lucknow Pact between the Congress and Muslim League 1916. IV. Foundation of Sabarmati Ashram 1916. After Gandhi's return. Launch of Champaran Satyagraha 1916. Quetta Satyagraha 1918, and Satyagraha at Ahmedabad 1918. V. Montague's August Declaration 1917. V. Government of India Act 1919. V. The Rowlatt Act 1919. V. Jallianwala Bagh Massacre 1919. X. Launch of Non-Cooperation and Khilafat movements. X. Foundation of Women's University at Pune 1916 and appointment of Sadler's Commission 1917 for reforms in educational policy. She death of Tilak August 1, 1920. She appointment of S.P. Sinha as Governor of Bihar, the first Indian to become a governor. 15. Lord Reading 1921–1926 I Chori Chora Incident, February 5, 1922, and the subsequent withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. E. Mokla Rebellion in Kerala 1921. E. Repeal of the Press Act of 1910 and the Rowlatt Act of 1919. IV. Criminal Law Amendment Act and abolition of cotton excise. V. Communal riots in Multan, Amritsar, Delhi, Aligarh, RV and Calcutta. V. Kakori train robbery 1925. V. Murder of Swami Shraddhanand 1926. V. Establishment of Swaraj Party by C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru 1922. Its decision to hold simultaneous examinations for the ICS both in Delhi and London, with effect from 1923. 16. Lord Irwin 1926–1931 I. Visit of Simon Commission to India 1928, and the boycott of the Commission by the Indians. E. An all-parties conference held at Lucknow 1928, for suggestions for the future Constitution of India, the report. 822 A brief history of modern India, E. of which was called the Nehru Report or the Nehru Constitution. Appointment of the Harcourt Butler Indian States Commission 1927 IV. Murder of Saunders, the Assistant Superintendent of Police of Lahore. Bomb blast in the Assembly Hall of Delhi 1929. The Lahore Conspiracy Case and death of Jatin Das after prolonged hunger strike 1929, and bomb accident in train in Delhi 1929. V. Lahore Session of the Congress 1929. Purna Swaraj Resolution. V. Dandi March 12, 1930 by Gandhi to launch the civil disobedience movement. V. Deepavali Declaration, by Lord Irwin 1929. V. Boycott of the First Round Table Conference 1930. Gandhi-Irwin Pact 1931, and suspension of civil disobedience movement. 17. Lord Willingdon 1931–1936. I. Second Round Table Conference 1931, and failure of the conference, resumption of civil disobedience movement. E. Announcement of Communal Award 1932, under which separate communal electorates were set up. E. Fast unto Death, by Gandhi in Yeravada Prison, broken after the Pune Pact 1932. IV. Third Round Table Conference 1932. V. Launch of Individual Civil Disobedience 1933. V. The Government of India Act of 1935. V. Establishment of All India Kisan Sabha 1936 and Congress Socialist Party by Acharya Narendra Dev and Jayaprakash Narayan 1934. V. Burma separated from India 1935. 18. Lord Linlithgow 1936–1944 I. First General Elections 1936–37 Congress attained absolute majority. E. Resignation of the Congress ministries after the outbreak of the Second World War 1939. E. Subhash Chandra Bose elected as the President of Congress at the 51st session of the Congress 1938. Appendices 823 IV. Resignation of Bose in 1939 and formation of the Forward Bloc 1939. V. Lahore Resolution March 1940 by the Muslim League, demand for separate state for Muslims. V. August Offer, 1940 by the Viceroy, its criticism by the Congress and endorsement by the Muslim League. V. Winston Churchill elected Prime Minister of England 1940. V. Escape of Subhash Chandra Bose from India 1941, and organization of the Indian National Army. Ix Cripps missions. Cripps plan to offer Dominion status to India and setting up of a constituent assembly, its rejection by the Congress. X passing of the Quit India Resolution by the Congress 1942. Outbreak of August Revolution, a revolt of 1942 after the arrest of national leaders. Sheet Divide and Quit, slogan at the Karachi session 1944 of the Muslim League. 19. Lord Wavell 1944–1947 I.C. Rajagopalachari's CR Formula 1944, Failure of Gandhi Jinnah Talks 1944. E. Wavell Plan and the Shimla Conference 1942. E. End of Second World War 1945. IV. Proposals of the Cabinet Mission 1946, and its acceptance by the Congress. V. Observance of Direct Action Day, August 16, 1948 by the Muslim League. V. Elections to the Constituent Assembly, formation of interim government by the Congress, September 1946. V. Announcement of end of British rule in India by Clement Attlee, Prime Minister of England, on February 20, 1947. 20. Lord Mountbatten 1947–1948 I. June 3 Plan, June 3, 1947, announced. E. Introduction of Indian Independence Bill in the House of Commons. E. Appointment of 2 boundary commissions under Sir Cyril Radcliffe for the partition of Bengal and Punjab. 3.